Hello, and welcome to the Evelyn Y. Davis Studios at the National Press Foundation. In this real-time social media world, do you sometimes feel like all those tweets are coming at you from a fire hose, and that it's impossible to really know anything even with all that information around you? We're here to make sense of that rush of information using a tool called Dataminr. The National Press Foundation is a nonprofit dedicated to helping journalists cover complex topics with depth and accuracy. We serve journalists in the U.S. and around the world. I'm Chris Adams, Director of Training at the National Press Foundation. I'm joined by Garrett Santora, the News Partnerships Manager for Dataminr, a web and app-based platform that takes real-time information from Twitter and other public sources and turns it into signals that reporters and editors can use to get a jump on the news. Garrett, welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Good to be here.
So, Dataminr, big picture, what exactly is it? Just give me the quick overview of what Dataminr is and kind of how it came to be.
Absolutely. It's a real-time information discovery platform. It was co-developed with Twitter, and essentially what we're doing is taking in the entire Twitter fire hose of data, all 500 million tweets per day, applying our technology to that data and surfacing the tweets that are actionable for news professionals, corporate security professionals, public sector professionals, and finance professionals.
And did it get started with the financial sector in mind or news sector, or how did that evolve?
It did. Great question. It actually started with the financial sector. We started off with banks and hedge funds finding them market-moving, valuable information on Twitter. From there, Twitter essentially saw what we were doing in this vertical and said this would be phenomenal for journalists. And it turned out to be the case.
And the partnership with Twitter, just explain that for me. It's how does it, you're not part of Twitter, but you came to them or they came to you?
Well, initially we went to them, but then for the news product, they came to us. They said, like I said earlier, this is a tremendous product. We want it for news professionals, and we went ahead and built it for news professionals. Now, our relationship is a very close strategic partnership. It's a symbiotic relationship. We're providing this technology, applying it to their data set, but we have the B2B relationships with these organizations in all 4 verticals in which we work.
Okay. And the 4 verticals, financial sector, the news sector, and what were the other 2 again?
Public sector and finance.
Okay. So let's talk about the use of Dataminr for journalism. First of all, tell me, when did it actually get started? Who were some of your early adopters? And then I was hoping you could just kind of lead us through what this thing actually looks like.
Absolutely, I'd love to. So our earliest partner was CNN. That was January 2014, in which we launched in the CNN newsroom. What we quickly learned by working with them and Twitter as well is that the tolerance for noise on Twitter was much less than we had anticipated. So we worked very closely with CNN to kind of develop and iterate around a lot of the feedback they gave us early on. From there, we entered a beta period with USA Today, WXIA, another Gannett property in Atlanta. It was a local news property, as well as the Weather Channel to kind of diversify and find a niche use case in weather, and also the BBC to give us some perspective on global news. And we got a lot of more feedback in that beta period, which we were able to apply to the development of the product.
Okay, and is this something that a newsroom, the entire newsroom uses, or a select editor or reporter or 2 within a newsroom? Does everybody get access to it? How's that work?
Well, everyone is able to get access to the platform. To put it in perspective, at CNN, there are roughly 1,000 people using Dataminr across the world, many of which are in the Atlanta newsroom, but also in Washington, D.C., New York, and in the bureaus throughout the entire world.
Okay. So tell us, just show us, if you could, what Dataminr actually looks like, describe the dashboard and the platform, and maybe just lead us through kind of the big picture overview of how it can be used.
Absolutely. So what you're looking at now is the main Dataminr for News dashboard. And as you look through this dashboard, you'll notice each one of these rows has a tweet within. Well, each one of these tweets is an alert that was sent to me based on my current Dataminr settings. Now, before I get into the nuances of what you're seeing on this dashboard and kind of speak to the specifics that you're seeing, I like to show people how you customize your Dataminr dashboard initially, because like you said, in a newsroom, everyone is using this, and everyone in a newsroom does not have the same focus. So to start off in the settings, what I'd like to show you is how to customize these settings. Up in the top right corner of this dashboard, I'll click where it says settings, and then settings again in the drop-down menu. And this opens me up to a tab in my settings called Notifications. And in this Notifications tab, there's a key concept to Dataminr. It's this concept we call topic lists. Now, each Dataminr for News user will create at least one of these topic lists. And what I have up on the screen in front of me now is one topic list. It's called the World List. Now, this catches every single alert that comes through the Dataminr platform. As an employee and somebody who's talking about Dataminr all day long, I like to see everything this system is sending to clients. But what I'm going to do for the purpose of this demonstration, just to show you how customizable the platform is create a new list. And I'll start that now. And I'll call this list, why don't we call it New York? Okay. And from there, I'm just going to click Next. This is simply a name I'm assigning to the list. It has no determination on what I see from the list. What I'm going to do now is specify the area of the world that I want alerts about. And for this New York list, of course, I'm going to choose the state of New York. Okay. But if you look here, what you'll notice is that I have the option to choose a continent, I can choose regions, I can choose an entire country, I can even choose provinces or states, or finally build a custom box around an area. If I wanted New York City, for example, what I would do is choose that custom option and build a box around New York City. But for this, we called it New York. Let me select the entire state of New York. And I simply click Province State, click New York, and I have indicated to the system that I now want alerts about New York.
Okay, let me stop you there for 1 second. An alert. Tell me exactly what is an alert and how is that developed? What rises to the level of alert?
Absolutely. So a number of factors. So we've spent the last 5 years doing deep analysis on all public tweets to kind of learn and understand how news breaks and propagates on Twitter. We use that data and that knowledge base, and that contributes to the data science that you see here with this product. It's now the ability to recognize an anomaly in the current Twitter data set and compare a story that's emerging on Twitter now to a similar story in the past, and making a determination that this current story has the potential to become a bigger news story or perhaps a viral story, which I'll address soon.
Okay, and so it's when you're picking up signals from Twitter, I mean, you're picking for a potential news event, you're picking it up from news sources themselves, as well as from the public, from citizens who might be seeing something and putting out a tweet on it?
That's absolutely right. We pull in all types of sources from Twitter. And what I'll show you when I get back to the dashboard here are the classifications that we assign to individual Twitter users. At the core, the greatest value that can be derived from this product are from chatter sources. People like myself who have 100, 150 followers who happen to see news and tweet about it in real time. That's what gives journalists the earliest heads up that something is potentially breaking.
Okay. So show me the dashboard some more.
Absolutely. So just finishing up on the settings really quickly, I chose New York. All right. What I'm doing now is indicating a priority level. The idea here is to let the journalist determine the extent to which he or she covers this geographic area. For something like New York, I would probably switch this to local importance, bringing in the most amount of content from this location. And one last thing, Chris, before I go back to the dashboard, are the topics. When I click topics, what you're seeing here are all the different types of content that comes through Dataminr. So you can look and see breaking topics at the top, and down below you can see there are featured topics as well. What you're doing here as a Dataminr user is choosing the frequency that you want alerts about each topic. If, for example, I don't care at all about business, I can turn it off. If I care a little bit about environment, I'll put it on low. A little more about conflict, I can turn it to medium. So like I said, what this is doing is determining the frequency with which you choose to receive alerts about each topic. Now, when I toggle back to the dashboard now after I save this topic list, what you'll notice is it recalibrates. And now what I should have pointed out earlier is that each one of these alerts is assigned at least one of those topics that you saw. So that's determining what you see as a Dataminr user, those topics in conjunction with your priority level and your geography.
Okay. Now, you're getting alerts. I mean, as a journalist, I'm always concerned about whether something is real or verified or rumor or gossip. How much, is this confirmed information? Is this verified information? How much faith can I put into the signal that I'm getting from Dataminr?
Absolutely. Very great question. Nothing that comes through Dataminr is confirmed or verified. We're very explicit about that. We onboard every single person who gets a Dataminr account, and that's something that we really highlight in the onboard process. We want to let journalists be journalists and do the confirmation and verification on their own, as they would prefer, from what we've heard anyway. All we're doing is essentially separating the signal from the noise. And once that's done, the journalist is off on their own to confirm and verify the story. Now, Dataminr does send what we call urgent updates. So as a story evolves, what we're doing is sending these updates to journalists to help further the story. And these urgent updates are material changes to the story as it progresses. So there is context coming in from Dataminr, but we assume that after the urgent or the first alert is sent to a user, they're off on their own doing their own confirmation and verification.
Okay. And so, I've heard about the use of Dataminr for breaking news, and it's very valuable there. Is it something that can also be used by reporters who are covering an explanatory beat or doing an investigative story? How do you use it in a non-breaking news context?
Absolutely. The easiest way to think about Dataminr is two products rolled into one. There is this alerting product, which I just went through, where you tell the system what you cover, and you receive alerts about those settings. Now, the other side of Dataminr is the search and analytics side. We call it the research side of Dataminr. And up in the top left corner of the dashboard, you might have noticed earlier there's a search bar. And when you search a term, a keyword, a hashtag, a phrase, whatever it is that you're searching or investigating, it opens up a brand new window in Dataminr showing different modules of how this is being discussed on Twitter. Now, when you talk about an investigative position that you have, we offer a map to show you where people are tweeting, okay, with a 30-day archive, giving you the ability to go back up to 30 days. In addition to that, you also have a volume graph, a raw Twitter volume graph, searching the entire Twitter fire hose, showing you the volume around an individual story, keyword, handle, whatever it is that you're searching. So that research side of Dataminr is kind of the answer to your question for investigative journalists.
So that's the overview of Dataminr. Is there anything else that journalists should know about how to use it effectively?
Absolutely, Chris. You should know, and journalists should know everywhere, that you can consume these alerts, you can receive these alerts via email, TweetDeck, you can get Slack notifications now. There's a mobile app as well. So the idea there is to make sure that these alerts fit seamlessly into your workflow. So in addition to the dashboard, you have all of those other ways of receiving Dataminr alerts.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Garrett.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today at the Evelyn Y. Davis Studios at the National Press Foundation, where we make good journalists better. We've heard today from Garrett Santora of Dataminr about using Dataminr to find news within the noise of Twitter. Find more webinars and reporting resources at nationalpress.org and follow us on Twitter @NatPress.